Perfect. Wide-ranging ghost hunting tour. I'm going to be taking you all over St. Augustine. We're going to cover much more area than you'd be able to cover on a walking tour like this one you see over here to your left. And we'll be, as I already said, I'll be encouraging you to take photographs of all of those various locations. There are a couple of tips I want to give you about this paranormal photography while we get started. And without any further ado, the cart is in motion, guys. The course of the tour, that's something you should be doing after the tour, and I'll give you some tips at the end as to what you really want to look for. Perfect. But our first location is to your left, and it's where I had you guys meet me, the Plaza de la Constitucion. This is our central square and has been for the last 450 years. Everything that has happened in St. Augustinian civic life more or less happened in the part to your left. Positive events like weddings and birth announcements, but of course, that's not what we're here to talk about. Where you see that white monument and those group of people around it, that is the Constitution Monument, very deliberately chosen for that spot, because before it on that spot, you would find the gallows, ladies and gentlemen. Public executions took place here in the plaza for over 250 years. More than 30 men lost their lives right there on that spot. You're probably thinking that's got to be the worst thing to happen here in the plaza, but you would be wrong. And sell them back into bondage. As you might imagine, this has left a very negative karmic stain on the park, and it's also one of the most photographically active spots in the whole city. A hotbed for orbs. I've even seen some more advanced phenomena in this particular location. Things like light daggers that dissect the frame. And especially up in the trees. In its heyday, the richest people in the world stayed here. The Vanderbilts, the Astors, Charlie Chaplin, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, the majority of the royal families of Europe, all guests. But before we continue with the story about this beautiful, very active building to your left, I need to tell you a little bit more backstory about Henry Flagler. He first came down to Florida in the year 1878 with his sick first wife, who unfortunately had tuberculosis. And at the time, it was recommended that you come away from cold New York City down to a warmer climate. And she did improve for a while, but she eventually died of that disease. And that allowed Mr. Flagler to marry wife number 2, Ida Alice Shorts, who just so happened to be the first wife's nurse. It gets even better than that, ladies and gentlemen. She wasn't really a nurse. She was actually an out-of-work Broadway actress. Just more socially acceptable to call her a nurse, and she did, to be fair, take care of the late Mrs. Flagler. And then when she passed away, she stayed on to take care of Mr. Flagler. But they immediately had a problem. She was being openly called a gold digger on the streets of New York. It became very obvious that they were not going to be able to keep living in New York City. So Henry Flagler moved his entire household down here to St. Augustine. He moved them into the west wing of his brand new Ponce de Leon hotel. We're coming up on that Flagler family residence right now. Down here, Ida Alice is the toast of the town. All of the ladies want to get into her salons, where she's practicing a brand new fad of the day, something called spiritualism. This involved things like seances, trying to contact the other side, And she was especially fond of a brand new board game. Any idea what that might be, anybody? That was a Ouija board, ladies and gentlemen. I heard a couple correct answers, and Ida Alice was absolutely addicted to it. She spent up to 8 hours a day on the Ouija board, which was convincing her of some very strange things. Namely that she was not supposed to be with Henry Flagler. She was actually meant to be with the Tsar of Russia. Couple problems with that. Ida Alice was not Russian, didn't speak the language or anything like that. Also, the Tsar was 14 years younger than her. He was 11 at the time. Nevertheless, she was convinced that she had to get Henry Flagler out of the way and made a number of attempts on his life just here in the west wing of the Ponce de Leon Hotel, now coming up on your left. The Flagler family residence was on the 3rd floor, and it was on that 3rd floor that she, on a number of occasions, tried to smother Henry Flagler in his sleep with a pillow. He was able to fight her off, but after a few of those instances, he had her sent to a mental institution in upstate New York. She was then deemed sane after about 3 years and allowed to return here to the west wing of the Ponce de Leon Hotel. At that point, though, Henry Flagler is gone a lot.
Is there anybody here willing to speak with me now?
Come here.
What? If you want to move one of these balls over. Very nice. Do you want to choose to move one?
Ball again.
Move the ball. Any 3 of these balls you can move.
I heard one voice say answer and then another say out.
You want us out? Was this used for just more than cannonballs? Was this just used for cannonballs?
Okay, so it's being really. Here, what the fuck was that? What? I don't know what it was. Okay. I don't know. I bent down to tell you because what was happening on the device was that it was constantly speeding up.
Okay.
So it would go at its rate, like it's supposed to, and then it would speed up really fast. And when I bent down to talk to you, there was a loud echoey voice that I couldn't make out. But yeah, no, that was freaking scary. Yeah. Caught me off guard. Okay.
I have 3 balls here. Would you like to play with one?
The voice came back, but it wasn't a loud echo. It whispered instead, but I couldn't make out what it said.
Can I have your name, sir?
Hurt.
Where were you hurt? Were you hurt here? Inside this?
People dead.
Did people die inside of this contraption? Was it used for more
Look
than...
up. At the fort.
Whoa. What's up at the fort?
It had said look up and then at the fort, so.
What are we looking for?
Over there.
Behind
Yep,
those
there.
walls?
Sentence.
Would you like to come and speak with me?
Stand. Adults responsible.
What are the adults responsible for?
It's gone to I hate to use the term, it's gone to a dead zone where it's not even really saying anything. It's just the static in the background. Die.
Is there
Two
a
of them.
name? 2 of them. Can I have their names? I have the balls set out over there, so that if anybody decides to tap them or move them, they could move. And as you see, there is wind passing by, and they're not moving one bit. So if they do move, that would be insane.
Get help.
Just tell me to get help. Are you telling something else to get help? I heard there were shackles on the other side of this wall. Was that the Native Americans that were shackled up?
She's trying to come through, but she's not. It's almost like she's getting cut or chopped off. Like her words are going, ah, ee, ooh, ah, oh, ah.
Is there a... Can the woman speak? Come forward.
I mean, I just said I have.
You have what?
She tries to break through again, but it keeps cutting off.
Can you allow her to fully come through to say, so she could say what she's saying?
It's definitely more active over here. The voices pick up. There's more of them over here. Female voice just said here.
Is that the female we were trying to talk to while we were over there? Near the fort. Can I have your name?
It's hot.
Were there people burned in here?
Yes.
A lot of people burned in here?
Yes.
Another
yes.
It was more than just cannonballs, just trying to confirm.
Bodies.
Of what type?
Whatever, everything stopped again. It's just static again.
So many different bodies of many different types?
I just heard a woman yell hot.
Were females burned here?
They're not being clear again. All right, I'm going to stop this.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.